So we're giving this another shot, guys. This is our first podcast episode with Catarina. She is the Chief Operations Officer at Starkdata. We have Martin, who is the co-founder and Chief Sales Officer at Mega. Today, we're going to dive into a number of topics around AI, technology, how it is impacting the sectors that we're focused on, and we're going to get right into it. So first question, for the audience that is tuning into the first time, they've saw the title, they've saw the names, who are these guys and what do they do? Catarina, who are you first of all, and why should anybody stay the whole 35 minutes and watch this episode? What value are they going to get out of this by hearing you speak?
Okay, so thank you first of all for inviting me over. This is going to be a rare opportunity to actually speak with nice people about AI that are not overly focused about Gen AI only. Well, I'm, as you said, Chief Operating Officer of Start Data. I guess anyone wanting to know the real deal about AI and how it can be applied to real life instead of just fiddling around with models and not knowing exactly what to do besides creating artificial alternative reality scenarios, that would be one of the wins. Second, it's interesting to know how a bunch of different people that are not necessarily techies then become leaders in tech and help others who are also not leaders in tech to adopt it. That would be interesting. And then hearing funny stories about how can completely random events in life change everything for the best, which means that there's really cool stuff happening in the background that we do not control, and no artificial intelligence can help us in that. So, yeah.
All right, and a follow-up question from that, just for those that are now, okay, this sounds quite interesting. Why do you do what you do? Why are you in the field of AI, building a business, which is I've built a business one so, and it is an absolute nightmare. So why on earth are you doing this?
Well, first of all, that has to do with my personality. First of all, I like complicated challenges. And for anyone who's been in business for a while, it's not good enough to just have any challenge that you can achieve quickly. It needs to be something that is so outrageous and so ambitious that it impacts not only your life as a professional, but also yourself as a person. So AI enables us to do that.
Okay.
It's also a brand new field. No one knows exactly where it's going. So just creating something from scratch that no one tried to do before, in order to improve people's lives, that's awesome. And then the other part has to do with background. Like I've been around corporate, and life is miserable when you're there if you don't have the right tools. So why should you keep your life miserable if you can just create a tool to make everybody's life wonderful? And AI is that thing. It enables us to create tools to make everyone's lives easier. So yeah, I guess troubleshooting, being overly ambitious, the two go along together, and bam, AI.
I think that's a great wrap up. So Martin, this is your second appearance. You're now becoming quite the figure online. Martin, introduce yourself and tell the audience why should they stay on and listen to you too.
Yeah, and thank you. And again, it's funny that you said the last thing, Katrina. There is a last story why we are even here. So I'm looking forward to get back to that. So I'm Martin, a co-founder of Mega that we started 12 months ago and now went live with. Coming from the call center industry, so I was born and raised in outbound and inbound operation. Now I'm, oh my God, I'm 44 now, but I started when I was 19. So yeah, a long time. So I'm even more interested in being here also because the whole AI field was new for me also a couple of years ago, and now it exploded. So I think that's a reason why you should stick around for looking at this episode, because AI is here, and I didn't see it a couple of years ago. Now it have exploded, and if you are not a part of it or part of that journey, or coming on board in your company somehow, somewhere, you are missing out. And I think that it is a necessary thing to be addressing all kind of possibilities where you can enhance your operations and productivity, etc. I just here in my own little business in Mega that are growing now, and actually with you, Shane, where we're doing also like internal sales strategy. AI is like is a game changer just in that field. We are using so many good AI tools today, and we wouldn't be able to do what we are doing now here in the Mega startup just phase without AI tools. So I think you should stick around to get the newest trends and knowledge to see where can I drive my business. And I think you should not only attend this one, you should attend all the knowledge you can get in general right now to learn and understand. Every day I'm learning new things. And I think it's crucial for business not only to do a strategy. People are talking, we need to have AI and AI, yeah, but what do you need? Where do you need it? So also stay around here because we are coming from an industry with a practical mindset. Katarina has been
Exactly.
serving the industry we are now building AI products for decades. I have been serving it for decades. So we are actually coming with a practical mindset, not only talking about the AI tools in general, but where can it be used, user cases, and where can it have a strong impact. Um, so
Okay.
yeah,
So those are really good. Those are really good segues into the conversation, and I think where I've seen it too. Like the reason I always think people should stick around for these things. Podcasts have helped me accelerate my learning, my journey, my career, my entrepreneurial journey tenfold. And there was a point in my life where I think I was a subpar performer. I didn't really value the academic landscape, and even getting into technology or getting into sales at first, it was very manually focused. And then I started to learn a little bit about technology and how that can automate a few messages and create a multi-channel seamless approach to use multiple channels to engage with my prospects. And fast forward that 5 6 years to today, now these subpar individuals that are average performers, if you just supercharge or infuse them with a bit of AI, you can now create that 80% of the top performers in your business, in your peer group, that can really start making a change. And in this bit, I created a business in 2020 at the midst of the pandemic. 4 years it helped me create it. That same business, the same department, the same structure, I was able to create it in a matter of 3 months with the help of AI and the right team. So a lot of the reasons why people are using AI is based on the pains that they experience, is the struggles that they go through in their business, and how can you really create throughput with those bottlenecks. So, Katrina, the first thing that I want to really ask you is, you come from a background in banking, compliance, telecommunications. Martin has a crossover between the contact centers and telecommunications. But for yourself, when you were in a corporate space, and then really how you can transition that into today's environment, what's the number one? Let's make it easy. What's the number one difficulty that presented it? What's the number one difficult job, process, task that you had in your business? And then we'll go into the pain points of that too. So one difficult point or one difficult task that you had in your corporate job that really was a headache for you that now AI helps you kind of clear.
Making accurate, informed decisions. That was the major one.
What kind of pain did that create for you in your business?
Well, if you're making decisions based on the wrong premises, you're just screwing up your business on the long run. And in this case, your employer's business. Um, the amount of things we don't know. You know what they say, like being stupid is like being dead. You don't know you're stupid or dead, but other people suffer with it. That's the same thing. When we don't have the right information, we don't know what we don't know, and we act stupid. And then we make decisions based on that, and that hurts everybody in the long run. So I would say that the biggest game changer AI enabled in my career, and that's what we actually want to give to other people, is the ability of making accurate, informed decisions.
Okay, so before you dive into that, a good segue into that kind of that conversation would be, give me an example of something, of a specific situation, a pain point that you came across or came up against in your career. uh, Walk us through that journey. You hit this roadblock, you hit this brick wall. You say, "Oh my God, there's pressure now on me." Then the process of finding the solution, you might not have found it, and then some light bulb moment happened, and you were able to create that throughput and really clear the bottleneck. Walk
Okay,
me through
so
that first example that comes to mind.
let's go back to when I was a compliance officer in the hedge fund, which was my last corporate job, except for teaching. One of the things I was responsible for was accurately determining the strategy for contracts of investors, and that meant being able to predict risk. It's
Okay.
a nightmare doing risk prediction when you're only based on your intuition if you're doing it for hundreds and thousands of customers. It's almost impossible to do that.
Hmm.
The damage that can come out of a wrong decision or a wrong risk assessment on an investment contract, let's say in a multi-jurisdiction contract for an investor in particular, it's harming for the business. And that's something I had to do daily. So I oversaw all of the customers, all of the investors, all of the contracts. And I had to make risk assessment on all of those and decide what the parameters of the relationship with those investors would be.
How
And the
much?
levels of stress were toxic.
Yeah.
So, quick question. Sorry to jump in on that. What kind of harm? This talking numbers. What kind of risks present themselves? What kind of loss of revenue can a hedge fund experience? I actually have a few friends of my dad's network from Citibank, JP Morgan in the US, New York specifically, in the hedge fund and PE space. What kind of what kind of numbers are we talking about in terms of loss if you make the wrong decision?
So it's not just the loss in the revenue that you could potentially realize, is the fact that if you do something that from a compliance or a risk standard is wrong, you might be prevented from operating altogether from the regulating entity. So the fund I used to work for had 6 billion under management.
That's what we want.
So
That's what we want. Big numbers, 6 billion. So
that
six
was
billion
it.
dollar hedge fund. So you potentially sink a $6 billion
six
business.
billion dollar hedge fund that can sink if you don't do the
Yeah.
correct risk assessment, and if you don't have the right compliance, and if you don't have the right oversight of operations, especially when you're talking about multi-jurisdiction investments. So
Yeah.
making decisions based on lack of accurate data without any support on decision, it's damaging, and
Wow.
potentially the risk is huge.
Oof. Okay. So Martin, that's Katarina set the bar quite high. She's talking about $6 billion hedge funds, dude. So for yourself, what kind of pain points are we experiencing in the contact center world?
But I love the whole thing about taking decisions about data accuracy and data points, and so that's also the world I'm coming from, where it has huge consequences. Not that huge consequences that you are describing, but huge consequences to take decisions are based on not having enough knowledge, and I think is crucial when in the industry we are serving, when we are talking retention, recovery customer, we are talking debt collection, we are talking management of finance control, etc. There's really big consequences of not taking decisions in the right time, especially in the world we are living in right now. So from the industry I'm coming, and the pain points is a little bit different, you can say, but one of the pain points from the contact center industry in general is of course that you have a big problem of recruiting people. And you have a big turnover of staff in general. So one of the biggest pain points when I run my call centers with 450 plus employees was there was an average time of living of 6 months for them. And why is that? That the problem for hiring these people into it's the same task that they have to perform every day. It's not super valuable up in top of the funnel for them, and they simply die out in that type of daily task. So one of the biggest pain points in the into industry is of course that your employees are burning out, that they are not consistently in that type of job, and that they cannot have enough meaningful conversations every day with potential clients or debtors, or call it what you want. So the efficiency is getting more and more difficult in today's landscape. People are not picking up the phones. People are using other channels. So it's more difficult to have meaningful conversations, and that lead again down to a problem of employees burning out in their job situation. And when you are running call center operation or big operations like many hundreds people, that factum is a very, very expensive one. So that's a big pain point. And then again, I see also in general that you simply need to reinvent. Now when we started, you said it yourself, and we started actually in the industry with manual dialing, and then we grow from there, and then we use power dial. We tried all kind of tools to be more efficient, and now AI come in as a part of that solution. So
Of course. Of
yeah,
course. So I think, look, what I'm hearing is, again, a lot of this is coming around making the right decisions to
yeah,
improve the performance of your business. And if you can mitigate risk, which is one thing, so even in the business that we're building today, the ability to mitigate risk, it comes from the learnings that you go through and the ability to go through those mistakes, make those mistakes consistently, but more importantly, to learn from those and then to use those findings and those trainings into a module or a language learning model that can really help you mitigate that risk at scale. And then when we're looking into just kind of a crossover between both parts, it's the efficiency, right? The efficiency of the operation. How can we solve the problem of low production? Even when we're talking about recruiting costs, employee impact, all of these things are now affected in today's landscape. Where I was listening to Jason Calacanakis. He's a big time investor in Silicon Valley, but even he was talking about just the low production environment that we have based on people working from home, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and Google and all these other companies. Now, the reason why they actually did that 25,000, 50,000, 75,000 employee layoffs, it wasn't to simply, there was an element of it to save on cost, but also it's a way to trigger the emotion to say, this can easily happen because the efficiency is not there. And we're now bringing this in-house. And one of the mandates that they've had is, yes, we've put a bunch of people in working from home, but these firing decisions, these changes in the organization can really happen. And if you don't want that to happen, we need people back in the office and to use technology efficiently. So, based on these problems, right? And then Martin, jump into that. Based on these problems that we've gone through and we've experienced, the idea for two products have emerged. And that's why we're in this conversation today. One of them being Catarina's product with Starkdata and their ability to help the financial services sector do more with less. And then again, Martin with our product to really support the finance sector in alleviating those low level tasks, helping these higher level executives focus on higher value activities so that costs can be improved massively. So the point you were just going to jump on there, Martin, what walk me through that. What kind of thoughts did you have on those points we were just making there?
yeah. But I think again, when I'm coming all the way, why did I have success in also in the early days in the outbound industry? Some of the things we were really good at was to measure when this person called these type of customer, or this person, a woman, a man, or another profile, age, etc., calling different kind of areas based on, and then take that knowledge in. So based on the right data and the right knowledge, we could see that these people would be better to call this area to get success or conversion rates, or these people would be better here and here in this small stage. So what I found very, very intriguing is like, when do you need to do an action? Like, when do you need to call somebody? When do you need to send an SMS? When do you, it's all about conversion rates in the end. So when do you need to take those decisions of doing what kind of activity to get success in the end? And right now, like, if you're setting my bots free on the market, calling people, yeah, you would probably get a lot of good success with that. But if you come down to take a layer more in before that and saying, okay, what is actually happening on our customer portfolio? How is the market looking? How is the market looking based on internal data, on historical data with them? How is the surrounding around? So we are talking about debt collection that we are serving today, getting our bots to call to collect debt. When should they be calling? When is the right time to call? And then I had a good meeting with one of our customers the other day. He said, yeah, now your bots are calling to collect debt after we could see customers are not paying. But imagine if you knew already 2 months before that this customer would be problematic. So maybe you should do some I love you retention, other calls there to prevent that, to investigate that customer. If you can do that drill, and based on those triggers, make the bots do perform some kind of task and be upfront of it. And the problem is, for many enterprise customers, they don't have the staff, they don't have the focus, they don't have the knowledge to react on different times also before, sorry my language, the shit hit the fan and now we have a bad situation. So because if you have that data knowledge, and that's why when I met Starkdata, and we need to talk about how we met also in this little podcast here, but when we met them, it was like, for me, if I can give, I don't pretend, I think it's a good learning here as an entrepreneur and a startup company, that it's not about my market or your market. So if we go together, if we join forces and we go out to our customer, we are really solving problems now. We are really bringing value to them now, because we are different entities focused on different things, but it all comes in together. So for me, it was a no-brainer when I saw somebody that good at analyzing data and predicting when is a good time to either react now before it's too late, or on the other side do some else based on data-driven decisions. That was like, for me, I can now power Mega with that knowledge, and I can now give my clients that, and now we can convert in different levels, and that will make the best results for sure for the end client. So there was just like some thoughts of why I think this whole talk about taking decision based on data is crucial, and I'm a part of it, and that Starkdata is another big part of that journey.
That's a heavy load of information to digest. So let's take a second to absorb that, and
To take it in.
let's see if I can write a few questions down on that. So,
Yes, please.
Catarina, do you have any comments on what Martin's just said from your standpoint? How does that really help you do your job, or do you see anything similar or different from where you sit?
Well, I guess Martin's spot on. That's one of the reasons why we decided that we would go into a partnership, because it's almost impossible not to see the gathering of the different parts of the solution. So for us, we do basically advanced analytics for the customer lifecycle. It's actually not my idea. The original visionary person to see how the product would work was our CEO, Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
And what he wanted to do was to enable accurate decision making, which is connected to what I was saying before. So we both have the same vision. We wanted to create something that would enable people to actually to act proactively instead of reacting. But then we can have the most wonderful analytics if we can't act on those, then there's a part missing. For a customer, let's say we can predict, and we actually do, we can predict uh, when's the best time to sell to a particular behavioral segment of customers, a specific kind of product, and who's the most adequate financial person to connect to that customer. And we can predict when they're going to go into default or when they're going to stop paying. But then someone needs to take action on our customer side, and that doesn't always happen. So it's like showing you the future and telling you, look, you have a solution here that you need to implement, but then they don't, because people don't like change. And when we met Mega, it was like, wait a minute, this is the way we bring in change without people having to actually deal with it. So we do the forecast, we tell them, look, there's danger ahead, and Mega comes and solves it. That's it.
And it's quite
They don't.
interesting. It's quite interesting how this whole thing comes together, and it's just another reason why I've put this podcast together, to give people the belief and the understanding, really the awareness to understand how life can come together. So just to lay the foundation, and we'll walk the audience through like how we really met. But myself and Martin met through chance a few years ago. We worked in another company, and then we found some similarities in just personalities in our approach, and that brought us again together for our second journey. And then Martin is very, very aggressive in sales, and I'm sure you can hear it in his voice online. But he set an enormously aggressive target whilst we were in Portugal before we met you on, well, actually, yeah, after I met you, on what we needed to achieve. And that was one of the reasons why we got that workspace. And then speaking to you, and the conversation about AI happened. Hey, what do? You do this. We do this with AI. Oh my God, let's actually have a conversation. Then Martin comes in, and Martin, within 35 seconds, when you're talking about efficiency, Martin booked a meeting with Katarina in record time, 35
It's
seconds,
true.
and it was in the calendar. And then moving forward from there,
True.
we've had multiple conversations on how our technology complements each other. Now, just for context, for everybody who's watching this, I live in the UK. Martin lives in Denmark. Katarina lives in Portugal. We flew to Portugal to have a workshop with somebody who actually flew in from Canada. Now, we are thousands of miles apart, right? And it just goes to show you that when you have the right type of conversation, right opportunity at the right time, magic can happen. And now a partnership has been developed through this interaction, through this communication, um, through this dialogue, and we are working on a massive opportunity for the market to help solve a problem that really a lot of people are experiencing and in some crossover ways. So, Katrina, for you, how do some of the different sectors that you've operated in, the markets that you serve, how do they benefit from not only the experience you have, but how that experience transitions into a product that you're delivering to the market?
I guess it goes back to what I was saying in the first question you asked. Um, a lot of there's a lot of AI everywhere. Like, come on, we have AI on toothbrushes. So, and I'm still wondering how exactly we benefit from all the AI we have on almost everything. But bringing AI to the position it should have in terms of being the most advanced technological tool that we have so far to our benefit, we need to bring it down to earth and bring it to real business. The majority of people talking about AI are just using sound bites. They have absolutely no idea what they actually can achieve with it. Funny fact, I was visiting a potential customer and we were talking about the different kinds of companies that went there and presented AI stuff. And oh, I guess
Oh,
we dropped Martin.
he's dropped. He's
Um,
back. He's back. He'll be
we were
here in a
talking
second.
about different potential AI opportunities and whatnot. And my question was, what are you willing to achieve with that? Because you're just talking about potential use cases, but how is that going to help you to achieve your targets, your goals? Like, let's be focused.
Yes.
And that's something that only experience in business can help you with. You can have the most wonderful models. If you don't know how to actually use them for the benefit of the company, you're just playing with it. It's just a
Of course.
toy.
And I think
Um,
that's Martin, you there?
Yeah, yeah, and
I think you're on mute.
no, no, I'm not.
I'll have to edit this section out, but let's give it a second
I'm
for
here.
Martin to join back.
I'm here.
yeah.
Hello.
1 second. Martin,
Yeah,
we can see your voice is moving.
yeah, I can
One
see you
second.
guys.
Hello?
Hello, I can see you guys. I'm here.
We can't see you. That's the only thing.
I can see you
Try
and hear you.
to check your settings on the bottom. It should say mute and then turn off.
Yeah,
See if you can click those buttons and see if it turns you on. Because right now, right, yeah, there you go. That's it. Cool, perfect. Let me hang up on WhatsApp. Um, all right, so back on to that point. So, Katrina, just just revisit, just highlight that last point that you made, and then Martin can chime in on that.
Yeah, so what I was saying is we were visiting a potential customer at some point and they were talking about potential use cases from different companies that went there trying to sell AI. And I asked, what's the goals you're aiming to achieve with the use of those tools?
yeah,
Because what I'm hearing is you're toying around with a tool because it's cool, it's AI, and everyone wants it. But what does that really do for your business?
yeah,
That's the main thing that I believe the corporate background helps you when you're approaching someone with a product that is AI based. In our case, for instance, on the banking side, we can deliver not only very accurate predictions that help mitigate risk, but also that allow the banks and the different banking and financial entities to provide better customer service,
yeah,
to actually go from just talk customer centric into real customer centric. If you don't understand the behavior of your customers, doesn't matter how much you say you're customer centric, you're actually not.
I want to
And
ask
that is a
you.
relationship.
I want to ask you an interesting question that I find to be somewhat problematic or an issue for some of the more technically focused founders, business owners, or even executive teams. There's two questions you can ask when you're trying to solve a problem. One of them is the very simple, straightforward one. What's the problem you're trying to solve? And the second one is, what's the goal you're trying to achieve? Which question is do you find is more difficult for your customer to answer?
I would say both, but what's the problem you're trying to solve? Because they see the goal, but they don't see how to get there.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's a good point.
Please dive
I
into
just
that. That's what I wanted.
But I just want to say, I think you nailed it when you are saying also when we're talking about what how the customer responds and also the narrative in the industry. I think so. One thing is what customers looking. I actually also see it from the other side when we started this industry up, and there was like these AI companies popping up all over the place. I think in one Monday when we wake up, there was like 20 new competitors. It's like, wow, what happened overnight? And then we went to a big fair in Canada. Actually, there was 18 other companies standing there. One of our guys went around asking, "Hey, what are you doing?" Yeah, we're doing everything. We're there. You can do inbound, you can do outbound, you can do everything. It's like, but what's the user case? I mean, you can do everything. Fire your reps or fire your. It's like, and for me, that's quite provoking coming from an industry and been doing that for 20 years, and then looking at how you look at it, like you can just fire your reps or you can fire your customer service or fire your debt collection companies or whatever and let AI take over, which is not the case. And when you are coming from the industry that we doesn't have that knowledge, you get provoked about that narrative because it don't resonate with the customers. It's not about replacing people. It's to know where the AI fit in, where can you use it, what user cases out of a professional and practical mindset because we understand the industry. So I understand how it is to call out and I understand how it is to what your employees are doing and your burning rate and your turnovers and your connection rate and your conversion rates, etc. And if you don't have that knowledge and bringing in, like you have, Katrina, bringing your background in because you saw these pains yourself, you had them yourself,
Yep.
as Shane asked. We tried, we've been through it so many years. Shane been through it, you've been through it, I've been through it. And that's why we know precisely, hey, this is what we need to solve. We don't need to like a narrative for us. You don't need to replace your people. We need to replace this little part. This is where there is a big pain point in the industry. And because we're coming from that, we know that. And I think that's a big change where in the fair in Canada, and it's cool, all these founders standing here like 25 years old, having a programmer background, doing amazing things, but they don't know where to use it practical with inside the customer's business, and that's a problem.
Let me jump in quickly just to share an anecdote of something that happened some time ago. So we were at a conference on insurance some years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I guess. And we were speaking with one of the biggest insurance companies in Europe, and they were saying, "Well, we had this automated IVR system, and we started replacing everything with chatbots, and the customer satisfaction decreased like 80%." And they didn't know why. And turns out there's only a certain level of automation you can include until your customers actually start to get pissed
Hmm.
because you actually want to speak with a person. It's like, okay, let's automate to a point, but let's not forget that we're human and we need relationships. Same thing with self-service, everything automated, AI everywhere. Like, where's the human connection on that?
Yeah.
Like, the technology is supposed to enhance the human ability, not to make us feel like we're completely replaceable.
Yes.
So
I
it
agree.
connects to what Martin was saying.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. So one thing I experienced even just this week, and I'm seeing it a lot right now, is same simple kind of use case, the loss of relationships, right? The decrease in creativity from humans in their ability to process thought, right? For something that is unique and that is something that is true to us as a human. That's one thing that we possess that AI will never be able to do
Yeah.
is that that element of creativity. So
yeah.
I've seen this week, we've been trying a number of new different systems. A lot of them are infused with AI. And we get to a point of we need support, right? So we try a system, we try a platform, and then we get to support and we message, we have this problem. Please enter your name, your email. We'll be with you in 3 hours. I'm like, oh my God, this is such a nightmare. Like the 3 hours, that's a killer for me. Even 24 hours is even worse. And what I think people need to understand is so that 3 hour window for me is really, really painful. Where AI can jump into that and ask those FAQs to a certain point, you can probably minimize that 3 hours either to zero because you might be able to answer your question, or just
Yep.
use something where technology fills that gap until that human is more available, right? And then the human can step in, and that's how you kind of develop that human relationship, that control, and then AI is not seen as so problematic, right? Automated messages are not seen as so problematic. But from where you sit, that's my experience, support and AI. How do you think customers, your future customers today, should be using AI in their support functions?
Uh, well, it depends a lot. So from the sector, I mean, we work in different ones. For the fintech area, I guess AI should be mostly used for risk assessment and for enabling very accurate predictions on what to do next. So it's making data useful because we have piles of it, but that doesn't necessarily translate into understanding what the data means.
Mm-hmm.
That for the specific banking sector. For pharma, for instance, it's solving problems that actually affect people's quality of life. And we work for both pharma and healthcare companies. And the goal is how can we improve people's lives? For pharma, for instance, we do prediction on medication shortage. So we make sure that life-saving medication is available at all times because we can predict with a very high accuracy the time window in which a certain medication is going to, well, run out of. And we started doing that in COVID times with a challenge that was launched by the European Union, and it proved to be useful to the point that we still use it today. For healthcare, for instance, is diagnosis support. We have lots of data from patients. We don't necessarily know what that translates into. And it's difficult for a human to compile big amounts of data in very short time windows. So again, bringing more efficiency, regardless of the area of operation, and that is what I see AI is the most efficient on. And I wouldn't say necessarily Gen AI. I would say deep analytics, deep
Mm-hmm.
learning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's the ability of first uncovering hidden parts of reality because we only can take so much. It doesn't matter what system we have, there's only so much ability of computing all the information. AI can greatly increase that. And the more
Okay.
advanced AI gets, the more we can integrate and this in a very simple way of explaining. You don't understand fully a joke if you read it. You need to understand context.
I fully agree with that. I fully agree with that. The
So
tone, the delivery, the body
exactly.
Amazing
language.
line, amazing statement. Yeah, yeah,
And I
So
think
AI evolves to the ability of understanding context, can enlarge the context in which you take information, and that can help in a multitude of ways. So
so.
that's how I see the future.
All right, cool. So Martin, this is where we hit our slam dunk. So we entered the industry from a position of helping sales development teams increase their efficiency, remove lost productivity, and really get more by doing less, which is
yeah,
a very common tagline. And Martin had his network in the Fiserv industry, diving a little bit deeper, more into payment and collections and debt recovery. We saw that there was a lack of support for business owners leveraging AI. They were late adopters of technology. And myself and Martin, through multiple conversations with the agencies that we worked with the use cases they wanted to develop, we saw that that fit wasn't coming together as we wanted it to. And through enough trial, test, conversations, problems, bottlenecks, myself and Martin had a bright idea that there's a very simple, easy to use case with debt recovery companies that have a ton of low level work where employing a human does not help their business, it actually damages their business. Two potential risks: payroll, 60% loss of time. So let's say an employee is worth $100,000. You're only paying for $40,000 of their work. You're actually burning 60,000. Now, when you multiply that in an operation for 100 people, you're burning $600,000 a year. So, Martin, based on the conversations you've had over the past 2 to 3 months,
Yeah.
the support that business owners are looking for, can you walk us through how Mega is supporting debt recovery businesses in their customer facing, customer support interactions?
Yeah, and I think that's actually also where you think, where you, as Shane asked you, Catherine, where does it belong? For me, it belongs at what I would call top of the funnel. So it's about. I have a great example. I have a huge customer that we just made a contract. One of the biggest debt collection companies in the UK market. 250 people are sitting there and doing these calls here. 120 of them are doing top of funnel calls, calling up to people, getting a hold of them. That takes a lot of their time. Like, it would taking 7.5 hours to get through 100 calls for these people here, with a very small success rate between 5 and 11%. So in that space here, that's why they burn out. That's why it's not efficient. That you should be using their skills on more complicated assignments. So top of the funnel for me, that product we created there was like, that was the first line of contact. There's a verification part. You need to verify yourself, where you are, where you're from, etc. There's, you owe that money. A lot of the debtors actually know that they owe that money, wanted to pay, and now there was a reminder call again. Hey, pay. Can you pay now? Can I send you a payment link, etc. And they could be in installments, etc. And then bring all the disputes or more complicated conversation, negotiation about debtors who cannot pay, down to a human being. And that's the first test, and that makes my full point of why this is so efficient. The first test we did with this company, we took those 100 calls and we went through them in a 2.5 hours time slot. So instead of 7.5 hours, we used 2.5 hours and had a conversion rate of 10% on the first calls. And now and there were like 7 people there that wanted to talk to a debt collector, so they can now sit there having the call transferred, don't need sitting and waiting all that waiting time, having negotiated, having relevant conversations. So that's for me where AI belong. And then you can take the debt collection industry and saying, yeah, top of the funnel, that is like 60% of all their work time went with that task. Now they can be spending their time on more relevant, and revenue will be driving in, and they will collect more debt, and they will have, so it have a complete impact of the whole business. And that could be a debt collection company, could also be a normal running utility company, gas company, telco company, insurance company. And now it's crucial. Margins are not that high, etc. So it's crucial to get your money in at the right time and not spending a lot of money on staff doing that. So I think that's where it's fitting in. And I just want to add a little thing, because it's also fitting in some of the things that you are talking about, Katrina, and what Starkdata is good. And it would be the end for me. I know I talk a lot, but I have a big utility gas company who said, I want these step collection bots to perform that. And then I said, yeah, but if you knew when your customer would leave you. So one thing is, we are now hunting payments for customers that haven't paid, but try to get your customer to stay in your shop. And they will go out after 6 months. That's quite high churn rate in that business.
Yeah, sure.
So based on what you know, Katarina, with your software, you can predict when customer will begin to leave. And my bots can also do retention calls, recovery calls,
Sure.
also belonging in top of the funnel, but have a huge impact on the client's financial situation, how the stocks are going up and down, how investors are looking at them, that they are also able to keep their customer. And can you just make an impact there with 10, 15%? That's a huge, huge thing. So that's where I think it belonging, and where it's fitting in well, and it complement the human, skill set.
Sure.
Amazing. So
And it's not always like people wanting to leave and stopping paying because they're just bad payers. Sometimes I remember a case of a company that had a lot of complaints on their customer service uh, because it was just bad, and no one wanted to actually call there to know the references for payment. and it started piling up. So and they weren't addressing the real problem. So they had a problem with collections, but the original problem was their customer service was so poor that people just wouldn't take the time to call them.
Yeah,
And they could have sorted this first with bots like yours, second with proper analytics on what the problem was.
precisely.
And this hurts the company, and they didn't do it. So that's exactly how I see it. It's we
And
can
that's why
improve a lot.
we love what we do also, Katrina, in general, because we are coming from a niche that we are serving, that we are actually helping driving better revenue, better business in general. And that's also something that I know both of us are proud of being a part of, that evolution and that support to our clients. So that would be
Sure.
my last final word on the topic.
So we're approaching the top of the hour, and I think two questions that are quite important for anybody watching this is, if you're a CEO or you're in operations and you're watching this, you're seeing, okay, I'm hearing a lot of words, I'm hearing a lot of AI language being thrown around, I'm hearing risk, I'm hearing prediction, I'm hearing decision making, I'm hearing production, efficiency, costs are piling up, saving money, impact on employees. There's an important question that I asked before. What's more important? Is it the goal that you're trying to achieve or the problem you're looking to solve? And Katrina, I want to try something with yourself and Martin, which is, we've got this massive problem up in the air. We have a multitude of problems that we can address over probably 100 episodes if we really dive in deep to it. But if we have this problem, there's one reason, which is the one reason for this podcast episode is because there is a partnership that's created between two companies, one being Starkdata, the second being Mega.AI. Now, Starkdata is a very interesting technology. It's an interesting platform that enables banks, financial services, a number of industries to predict risk in a very effective manner, to compile and get through a ton of research, millions of data points of research, and to kind of provide you with some decision making capabilities that help you make better decisions. Our technology on the Mega side is to really help you streamline your efficiency, and that's to increase that productivity with a massive, an eighth of a fraction of the cost. So the question is this, Katrina, you answer it first, and then Martin, you're going to have to be very creative on peppering the final product after Katrina's answers. What do people miss out on, Katrina, in terms of competitiveness? More importantly, what do they miss out on if they don't start looking at predictive analytics, risk mitigation with Starkdata today?
Okay. First of all, they're probably missing out already. The market dynamic is so fast and things are moving so quickly that if they're not looking into it already, they're probably having issues. Um, there's no way in today's world with the fastness of relationships and how everything moves that you can go on without analyzing your business. Second, what you don't analyze, you don't manage. What you don't manage, it's ultimately going to be lost. uh, to make proper decisions for companies, you need to have the accurate vision of what's happening. If there's hidden variables driving your customers' behavior, if there's hidden variables influencing the level of risk that your company is assuming, how can you make decisions on that? So you need to look into analytics now.
I think
And it's
that's
not for
go on. Sorry, carry on, carry on.
it's not just the old school business intelligence or Power BI or whatever you call it, because that's not enough. You're making decisions based on past trends. That was cool in 1998. It's not efficient now.
Wow, I think you nailed it. So, Martin, now for you. So we have probably, I think we have 6,000 debt recovery companies in the Fiserv space that we are looking to help support in any way. Now, there's a CEO watching this. He may send this to his VP of operations, and they want to hear from Martin. Martin, what is that company missing out on in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah.
competitiveness by not using Mega AI solution in their business?
I will say it actually, and you can compare the industry we are serving and the things we are going through ourselves now. We are also building sales now, contacting people, etc. If you, for every company, also in the debt collection industry, they have recognized now that a multi-channel approach to do your, whatever it's to call new prospect as we are doing, Shane, and doing sales, or it's to call debtors and collect debt or whatever that is, or retention and recovery. You are now using dialers, you're using intelligent emails, you're using SMS, you're using WhatsApp. I know in Portugal, like if you contact people by an SMS, they don't respond. If you contact them through WhatsApp, they do respond. Like that's completely different. So the multi-channel approach, people, they know it. They will not succeed. They haven't been succeeded the last couple of years if they haven't adopted that. I think debt collection companies like 3 years ago, they sent letters out. Like who received a letter anymore? That's like one channel, and they would have already died if they haven't reinvented themselves now to send SMSs. And they will also die if they don't take the AI top of funnel products in as the other competitors, because then the other people are ahead of them, taking one more powerful channel in to their multi-channel strategy. We are just a part of that, but we are a powerful part of that. So they already know it. They have been doing it so far, and they should be doing it even faster right now as the space move. It goes a lot faster than just a year ago. So I think you are missing out. You know it already. You are using different kind of multi-channel strategy. This is a super important one to add into that equation, and you need to do it.
Awesome.
So simple as that.
Awesome. All right. And I think then the follow up to this is number one, which is where can we find more information about both of you? The next iteration to this will be another episode that will follow on with Catarina specifically. And that will be to dive a little bit deeper into Starkdata and how they operate, a little bit more of a closer background on yourself, Catarina. But where can people find you if they want to learn more about Starkdata and really yourself as a business professional and your expertise in the space?
Okay, so LinkedIn or website www.starkdata.ai. Give me a call, contact me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I reply to everyone. Might take a while, but just go ahead and check our social media or website. Give us a call.
I love it. And
Perfect. And
the
Martin,
same here. Look it up, Martin Nielsen on LinkedIn, Mega.AI, and we will be around also. So if you are out there going to different kind of events in the finance industry, we will be in Callisto Grande event. We will be in Prague in October. We will always be represented in September already in the Finca events in Poland. We will be out there also. So reach out to us there or on different kind of channels. And nice to be joining you guys today. So
well,
thanks for
I
that.
appreciate it. So, guys, anybody who watching this, like you said, you know where to find them. We'll put their website URLs at the bottom of this, their LinkedIn profiles at the bottom of this. Definitely dive into it. This is more of now we're stepping into a realm or an environment where the conversations of experience, resilience, production, effectiveness as an individual, that has been a year that has been past. And now we're moving into a world of really leveraging and executing technology in the right way with some of the brightest minds that actually have been through those experiences, been through the problems, navigated them. And this is where I think it's important. We're stepping into an environment right now where the news is very, very heavily compromised. Okay, so how do you know what to trust in terms of information? We have AI that's pulling from multiple different sources. Some of it is also being pushed up by paid ads. And then you have another element, which is podcasts, bright minds, people who have actually done it. Which of the three do you really trust now? Do you trust the news, AI, or do you trust real people? And that's a conversation that is definitely emerging into more episodes. But look, I think that's a wrap. We've hit an hour. Is there any last words from either of you for the audience?
Well, just thank you, I guess. General, thank you for staying and listening.
Thank you, Martin. How about yourself?
Yeah, it was just thank you for listening. Tune in again and follow us and follow the next episodes that's coming up, because we have this practical mindset and addressing all the things we are talking about on a practical thing that you can take learning from and bring it out to your own business. And we would be happy to have you join again. So thanks a lot.
Awesome. That's a wrap.